Ciao amici miei, and welcome to another build video. Today I'm showcasing the Cyclone Slayer, and yes, you heard that right, baby. The Cycloner is back. We're gonna showcase it in its full glory. Well, okay, I haven't really min-maxed that much, but I'm gonna showcase you the new Atziri's Disfavor and the version that I came up with. So most of you know that Cycloner used to be my thing back in the day, but we used to play dual-handed Claw Cyclone, and it used to be champion, but sadly that build got nerfed. I think it was 4 or 5 leagues in a row until it was absolute trash and unplayable. I'm not sure if GGG has something against me, but they really wanted to put that grave in the dirt, and so they did. So therefore, I haven't played Cyclone in a lot of leagues since then, and I've been focusing a lot on Death's Oath, which is my new flavor of the month. I don't know, like flavor of the year. Okay, I love Death's Oath. That's just how it is. It's fantastic for everything. So I've been playing that a lot. But then this league, I saw that they were updating the Atziri's Disfavor Volax, and I figured, maybe we can somewhat put a physical Impale Cycloner back on the menu. And so far, it's been really great. It was kind of expensive, but it's been very, very strong. I haven't really been doing Uber Bosses with this build because I can't bother even trying, because Uber Bosses is more about like mechanical stuff than like the build itself. Sometimes, obviously, some builds are more suited for Uber Bosses as well. But this build has like very high damage and can like destroy endgame bosses super fast. But it lacks defenses extremely hard, and therefore I just said like, screw it, I'm not even going to do Uber Bosses. I'll just showcase this, you know, some mapping and some bossing, and I'm going to talk about the build, and that's just going to be it. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So, as I said earlier, this time we are doing a Slayer, and we're doing Atziri's Disfavor Vol Axe. So we're playing two-handed, we're playing Axes, we're playing Slayer, but I am utilizing Forbidden Flesh and Forbidden Flame, which seems to be one of the more common things that you have to do nowadays if you want to get certain builds or certain archetypes actually going. Because I don't know how good this build would be without the Forbidden Flesh and the Forbidden Flame. If you go in Path of Building and you remove these two, you notice that it loses a lot of damage and a lot of potential. So yeah, it is what it is, you know, but we gotta do the best of the situation, and even though the build is expensive, so is a lot of builds nowadays. Anyway, so we're playing Slayer. We're doing Overwhelm for some base crit chance on the weapon, and crit multiplier per nearby enemy, blah blah, and nearby enemies have lowered critical strike multiplier. Nothing really big there. It gives us quite a good damage, but yeah. And then we have impact for global accuracy rating, and just a lot of AoE for mapping. Because one thing that Atziri's Disfavor has is pretty big AoE because of the plus 10 weapon range. And then we do Bane of Legends, and then Headsman. So Headsman is one of the best things you can have for bossing, because 20% cooling is really, really fantastic. And then because we're playing two-handed axe, you know, I go for slaughter and cleaving, and we have hatchet master and stuff like that. and we're playing Impale, so we get some Impale stuff, and then we have Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh with Master of Metal. These weren't as expensive as I thought they would be, probably because no one really plays like Cycloning or Impale that much anymore, and especially not Slayer, where they have these ones. You know, yeah, it's a whole thing, but yeah, they were a little bit cheaper than I thought they would be, but they're very good for this build, so we get one additional Impale, and we get some more armor and some more damage per Impale as well. And then the build has pretty good defenses overall, like 79, 78, 79 resists, Chaos Res minus 60, but I do that on every build because I play softcore and I don't care about Chaos Res. It doesn't really bother me at all. We have a Thread of Hope Jewel with Panopticon, Hatchet Master, and Ramparts. And then we have Steadfast down here, Fortification, and Melee hits Fortify. Because we don't have Fortify in our links, but I want to have Fortify for the defensiveness. So we have this Fortify Mastery and Steadfast, and then we have Rampart as well. So, you know, it's quite nice to get that tankiness, and we also get a little bit of damage from Rampart because of that too. Then we utilize Rage, so we have attacks with axes or swords grant 1 Rage on hit, and then we have Rage support as well. So we can utilize Berserk, because Berserk is one of the biggest damage multipliers in the game. If you have Rage and if you can activate Berserk, it makes your character go crazy, you deal so much damage, and you become very tanky. But that's always something you gotta think about when you open up Path of Building, and if you see that they have very high damage numbers, go check if Rage is enabled and if Berserk is enabled as well. Because it isn't like you don't have full Rage and you don't have Berserk all the time. Rage is something you have to build up, then you activate Berserk and you lose your Rage over a period of time, and when your Rage hits 0, you don't have Berserk anymore. So it's like an offensive cooldown that you activate at a certain point to deal a massive amount of damage for a period of time, and then you don't deal that kind of damage anymore. So that's something that you have to keep in mind for this build as well. But yeah, we're going to go over the skill tree a little bit more, and then the gear, and then the gems. So for the skill tree, like I said earlier, we have like Merciless Skewering, and we have Champion of the Cause because we need some mana reservation efficiency. We have Soul of Steel and Prismatic Skin, and, you know, things leading up to that. Then we have Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you. This is just to get, you know, tankier against elemental damage, and Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you is really nice to have, because sometimes it can be very expensive to get on jewels, and we don't really have, like, we have one jewel here that we could have it on otherwise, but I needed this kind of for resist because my gear's lacking a little bit of resist because I didn't really want to min-max that much into this build. And then, you know, we have some normal stuff, like we have Martial Experience for some Leech, and then the two-handed Mastery to deal triple damage is very good. We have Berserking because it gives us max Rage, and Inherent Loss of Rage is slower, so we don't have to worry about like building Rage as much. Slaughter gives us more Rage and damage and stuff like that. Cleaving gives us Intimidate enemies on hit, so, you know, we get more damage from that as well. And the Axe Mastery gives us faster Rage regeneration, and nothing really that crazy. Then we also have Unwavering Stance, so we don't we can't evade enemy attacks, but we don't have evasion, so it doesn't matter. But this gives us stun immunity because that's not on Cyclone anymore. And then we have a Cluster Jewel with Run Through for Impale chance, which is something we need. Martial Prowess, and then Fuel the Fight. And then I have Rapid Infusion and Precise Focus on the medium clusters as well, because this gives us a lot of damage and some defenses as well from Infusion. And that's basically the skill tree. Panopticon is really strong, which is something that most builds like this utilize, because you usually put up double totems like this. Ancestral Protector gives you attack speed, and Ancestral War Chief gives you like attack damage. So you put up the Protector first, and then the War Chief, and then you have 3 of them, and they give you stronger buffs. So you get more attack speed and more attack damage as well. Kind of utilize that. We self-curse Assassin's Mark because we are running out of gem slots, so we kind of have to self-curse that on bosses. It's not that annoying. You cast it on a boss one time, it stays on the boss. You only have to do it one time because the marks are permanent unless you use the mark on something else or the enemy dies. So you go into a boss room, boom, boom, cast your mark, and then go to town. Just go to town. That's it, you know, nothing really to think about. Unless if you want to activate Berserk when you have Rage, then you do that, and then you just keep on going to town. You don't have to worry about anything else, you know? So that's kind of how the skill tree looks like and how the character plays out. So let's go over the gear a little bit. So obviously we have an Atziri's Disfavor Volax. This is a pretty high rolled one, and then I corrupted it for 30% quality because I didn't really care too much. So it has pretty good damage. That Atziri's Disfavor Volax is somewhat expensive, and I think this set me back like 6 or 7 divines, so it's kind of expensive. I am using an Abyssus, which is really bad defensively, and has always been a problem if you want to play physical builds like this, especially like Cyclone is right now, or kind of weak in my opinion. The Abyssus gives us so much damage, so if you don't want to be squishy, then you remove it, but then you lose on a lot of damage, like you lose out on a lot of damage. So it's up to you if you want to keep this or not. I don't have an enchant because I didn't want to pay that much money. I have Intelligence Amulet because I need intelligence on the build. Then we have crit chance, crit multi, maximum life resist, and channeling skills have -3 to total mana cost. I have that on all my jewelry, so my Cyclone costs 0 mana, and I can just Cyclone for free because we're using a lot of aura, so we have 25 mana otherwise. So it's very important that you have -3 total mana cost on all your jewelry. And then rings is steel rings with a lot of physical damage to attacks, resists. Same here. Physical damage to attacks, resists. These can be kind of expensive depending on how much resist you want and how much damage you want. Not sure if I self-crafted one of these or whatever I did, but I see here that they're pretty strong. So yeah, damn, that's pretty crazy. I can't even remember how much I paid for those, or if I self-crafted them. And then on the armor, you want a frenzy charge on hit. Attacks have critical strike 1. I remember this being very cheap, even though it has like elevated crit chance, which is crazy, and nearby enemies are blinded. It's not something I really need. I just realized it after I bought it, that like, hey, wait a minute, it has that. But this is something that you want. Like, you want chance to gain first charge and hit, and maybe 1.4% attacks have critical strike chance. Anything above that is just, you know, going over the top. You don't really need that. On the gloves, spike gloves, life, resists. You know, you can get attack speed and physical damage attacks here if you want to. That's really good, but I didn't really want to pay too much, so I just ended up with these. Stygian Vice, stats, I need intelligence more, so I have that here as well. Life, resists, pretty simple. Murdercide Jewel, life, physical damage attacks, nothing crazy. Boots, life, resists, movement speed, nothing really crazy there either. And then for Flask, Bottle of Fate, because this is huge for bossing and huge for crit builds, and we are a bossing crit build. And then Lion's Roar gives us a lot of damage. And then we just have Assault for some more armor, and we also have attack speed on it for some more damage. That's basically it, alongside with the Thread of Hope, the Forbidden Flesh and Flame, the Cluster Jewels, and then this is also a massive damage multiplier. Impales you inflict last 2 additional hits while using Pride. So we have like 8 impales, I think, which is where a lot of our damage comes from. And funnily enough, this used to be like one of the most expensive jewels when people used to play a lot of Impale and Cyclone builds, but nobody really does that anymore. So this jewel was actually just like a couple of divines or something. It was very, very cheap. This used to be like a 20, 30 Exalt or Divine jewel, you know, but now nobody plays this and nobody cares about this jewel anymore, which made me very happy when I was building this character, because I didn't really want to pay too much for my gear. But yeah, that's basically it. So let's go over the gems. The gems that we have in the Atziri's Disfavor is obviously 2120 Cyclone. You don't want the Vol version, it sucks. I then have Infused Channeling, Awaken Brutality, Awaken Melee Fizz, Rage, and Impale support as well. Then in the helmet, I have a level 20 Precision, Blood Rage, Life Tap, and Molten Shell. Then here we have Ancestral War Chief, Ancestral Protector, multiple totems, and Life Tap support as well. I use Life Tap in a lot of places because like I said, I don't really have a lot of mana, so I need to use Life Tap in order to actually being able to cast things. As you can see here, when I spam my totems, it takes my life instead of my mana. And then for the boots, we have Life Tap, Assassin's Mark, Leap Slam, and Berserk. And then for the armor, we have Pride, Blood and Sand, Flesh and Stone, Maim, because Flesh and Stone and Maim work together, and then Dread Banner, and then you need Enlighten level 3, otherwise you're not going to be able to reserve your mana, and that's why you also need Champion of the Cause. So therefore I have a lot of auras activated. I always are in Blood stance when I'm bossing and Sand stance when mapping, because Sand stance gives you more AoE and some more defensiveness, while Blood stance gives you smaller AoE but more damage. And that's basically the build. Like I said, I walk up to a boss, totems, use the curse one time, and then just go to town. Boom, 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 boom. And when I have rage and flasks, I activate all that shit and the boss just melts, as you've probably seen in the video. And that's it for the video. Some finishing thoughts. It's pretty decent for mapping, not really that good. I rather map with my Death Zote than any other character, but this character was okay for mapping, not really that good. For endgame bossing, he is so strong. Like, I can melt so many bosses so fast, but he has really shitty defenses, so you gotta be able to handle mechanics for bosses. And I probably wouldn't make this character again next league, because I like to have a character that can map and generate money alongside just bossing, because if I play my Death Zote, I can do all the bosses anyway, except for Uber bosses, so I don't really feel like I want to make a character like this that can do the bosses that my Death Zote can, but he can't map that efficiently. So it was fun making it, and it was fun seeing like how strong this build is, and for Sanctum it was pretty nice as well. Lycia, the last boss, and the second phase of her, I insta-killed that bitch. Like, I just walked in there, popped my shit, popped my flask, and she just died in a heartbeat. So it was actually really good for Sanctum as well, because of how much damage I have. And a lot of people say that, like, oh, if you're melee, you get screwed in Sanctum. But if I just go like this, around in circles around enemies, they usually won't hit me anyway. So I had no problems with, you know, getting hit. And I had no problems with damage, so most mobs would just die instantly and I would just never loosen a resolver and anything like that. So it was really easy for that, but still I feel like this character is okay, but not something really that I want to play anymore, because it's just not good enough compared to other builds. So thank you very much for watching the video. Have a fantastic day, and next time I'll see you, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to see you, because seeing you is like, I don't really see you, because, you know, I'm home, and like you're maybe in another country, except if you're someone I know in real life, then like, yeah, sure, I will see you. But then it's like, are you even watching this video? Because most of my friends don't watch my videos because they don't play PoE. So when I say see you, it's not really like, I don't get it. Like, I don't really know what I'm talking about myself. Like, what's the point of doing this at the end of every video? No one even watches this far into the video, so no one knows that I'm like memeing about dumb shit at the end of the video, because no one watches this far. So like, why am I doing it? I have no idea. Now it's like a compulsion thing, like I have to do it, because I'm like, maybe someone watches the video this far, but I doubt that anyone actually does it. But then it's like I don't, like, still, like, why would I do it? Like, I have no idea. Like, it's just weird that I still do it. And now I've been talking for, my OBS is a minute. It doesn't make any sense. Why do I have an outro where I talk for a minute about nothing? I talk about talking. It's just like, it's pointless. There's no sense. And I keep doing it. I've been doing it for the past 10 videos. No one said anything, no one noticed, and I keep doing it. Why do I do it? No one knows. Like, that's for you to figure out, but there's no you because there's no listeners. So like, there can't be a you. I can't see you. You can't hear me. I don't exist. This doesn't exist.